This is the Invincible podcast on TV Podcast Industries. We're back for the finale of Invincible Season 4, Episode 8. Don't leave me hanging here.
Get out of my way.
You need to give me a chance to make things right.
I don't need to do anything for you.
I know, but you will.
How dare you?
You believe in rehabilitation, in second chances. I didn't understand it before, but I always loved how strongly you fought for it. You thought you knew me, and you did, even if I was hiding part of myself from you. But everything's changed since then. Please let me show you who I am now.
Welcome back, fellow Guardians, to the Invincible podcast on TV Podcast Industries. Oh, we're back for the finale of Invincible Season 4. Don't leave me hanging here. I am one of your hosts, Derek.
Sorry, I was leaving you hanging. I am Chris.
You know, I automatically edit out any space in these episodes, Chris. That never works.
I know, now you can't. Now you have to just leave that pregnant pause in.
No, because people turn off if there's like 2 or 3 seconds of silence, Chris.
I know. But like now they know.
There you
go. Can you believe it? 8 episodes.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
8 hours.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yes, Invincible. In fact. And what a series it has been. Wow. This story took twists and turns I never expected the show to take. I know you expected some of them, Chris. I will say I watched this episode just after I watched the penultimate episode, so I've been sitting on this for a while. I was sitting on it so long that I pulled out my Invincible compendium and read all of the issues around this as well to see how it compares to the book. Some interesting things, I think, that they changed from the book as well. So we can talk about those this time reliably, Chris, because I've actually read them.
No, I'm not spoiling anything.
Exactly. Won't spoil anything that didn't happen in the episodes, but spoil things that were changed, which is definitely really interesting.
Yes, that's fair. It's an interesting place to leave as a series finale. Mm-hmm. I am very happy. I think I'll put that there. But I think it's a very, we talked about this, I think it was like last episode, the episode before, that it is very much an Empire Strikes Back kind of ending where no one's won.
Yeah.
And this, if is anything, this is, your good guys have not won. They've actually lost. And it's called out.
Well, yeah.
Like in the Viltrumite War, like in the last, like, you didn't win. And I think Cecil says it best when to Nolan in the episode where he's like, "Oh no, you need to get back out there and fix this because you just kicked a hornet's nest of 50 or less than 50 very powerful super gods."
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk all about that and this episode as we get into our discussion about Invincible Season 4, Episode 8. But there is a bit of feedback that's come in over the course of the last couple of weeks that we haven't discussed yet, Chris. We recorded Episode 7 a little bit early, so we're missing some Episode 7 feedback. And I missed a bit of feedback on Facebook. Thanks very much for David, Mr. Writer, for pointing out that I missed some feedback on Episode 5 of the show Invincible. So let's start out there, Chris. David, Mr. Writer says, "Hello, boys and ladies. So I'm all caught up now. Incredible episode. The rematch with Mark and Conquest was still not as intense as the first one, but still very spectacular. That still shot of Conquest about to backsmack the holy hell out of Oliver was hilarious. This is the first episode where Mark's powers were actually given justice. Him strangling Conquest until he died, no matter the pounding he was taking. Even though it's a cartoon, this was an extremely graphic, gut-wrenching scene, pun intended. Overall, well done episode. 5 gut spills out of 5. Fantastic, David. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, David. You're right. Like, I know you said the hilarious scene, but for me, that shot of Conquest right behind Oliver is still like it's burned into my mind as we speak. Like, it will forever be there because it is just so censored.
Yes, absolutely. I love that they've taken that. People have shared that around as an image from the show. It looks like a terrifying moment where Oliver's about to get killed. And, you know, if you watch the episode, in comes Mark and takes Conquest out immediately at that moment. But what a great scene to animate, having Conquest just right behind Oliver and Oliver not noticing he's there. So very cool that it's something similar with Mark running away from Thragg in the last episode as well, where Thragg is getting so close to Mark and you know it's going to end badly if he catches up to him. So great stuff. Thanks so much, David, for the feedback on episode 5.
Yes, thank you so much, David. We also have some feedback in from Coffee and Vodka on episode 7, so let's go straight to that. Coffee and Vodka had this to say: "Greetings, fellow battle-bound defenders. It seems fair. You destroy my home, I'll destroy yours. Final battles or penultimate ones are fairly straightforward. This one's no exception. Battle Beast's tunnel vision tenacity proved to be 100%, making him a great wartime ally, but a tedious dinner rest. Thragg's sparing of Mark in the light of a shattered world both made and didn't make sense. And Alan replacing Thedas as Grandmaster, even temporarily, is about as jarring as the latter literally losing his head. Easy prediction time. Nolan going to release the virus on Thragg and company to save Earth. I mean, it's got to be used right. Speaking of viruses, off to the boys. 5 deadly ringers, planetary throughways, and beta ray kills out of 5. Peace and take care, Coffee and Vodka." Thanks, Coffee and Vodka. You definitely put enough alliteration in there that it took me a couple of times to get this one out.
Nobody will never know.
Well done,
Nobody will never know. It's good.
No. I think that the piece about Mark being spared by Thragg make more sense come episode 8. So you can definitely, I'm hoping that you'll have changed your tune slightly on that in terms of your thing. And then Battle Beast being kind of so tenacious. He's just a fun character, but enough that you are starting to see, like as we previously mentioned, he has his own spin-off comic now, discussing his past, future, etc.
And it's literally running at the moment. I think it's 5 or 6 issues into, or 5 issues into a 6-issue run, or 4 issues into a 6-issue run, something like that. So, so a character that people wouldn't have known that well from the Invincible comics. He's in there, but he's not focused on as much. And I think they're taking little bits of his character from the current comic book series. So if you want to know a bit more about Battle Beast, go out and read that comic series. It's supposed to be really good at selling it everywhere. So, it's always good for an independent comic, isn't it? Yeah. Great stuff. Yeah. Always. Just a comment on what Coffee and Vodka is saying. Yeah, we're watching The Boys and Daredevil Born Again at the moment. I'm consciously every week making note of the things that are crossing over between all 3 shows, because there are little things that characters are doing or saying that also appear on the other shows. Myself and John mentioned it on our coverage of The Boys last week, where little things are kind of creeping in that you wouldn't even notice if they were separated by a few weeks. Maybe even a few days, because all of these shows come out on a Wednesday. We're noticing them very quickly when characters are saying lines from other ones, or when people are mentioning things like viruses that can kill everybody on the planet, like we're seeing on both Invincible and on The Boys as well. So it's a little frustrating. I wish they'd push them out a little bit more, but I better stop saying that, because I know we are eating good at the moment, much like Battle Beast is eating as well.
Yes, but he's just dining on his own blood as he dies.
Yes, only if he goes up against a worthy opponent, though, Chris. He's not just dining on his own blood,
exactly.
Thankfully.
No, not just on the weekend.
Excellent. Thanks, Coffee and Vodka.
Thanks so much.
Over on Discord, Richard Blaze says, possibly the greatest episode of Invincible ever. What a show. Hope that next week continues the threat and doesn't back out of what could possibly happen now that Viltrum is the new Krypton. Will Earth go the same way? Absolutely loved it from beginning to end. Fantastic, Richard. I know you've sent in your thoughts on the final episode as well. And yeah, there was definitely some cool stuff that happened in this episode, but a lot not very expected by me.
Yeah, no, definitely. We also got some feedback from Dr. Bob, who had, wow, what a heck of a battle. Seriously, thought we'd seen the beginning of the end with Omni-Man and Oliver dead, a planet destroyed and the betrayer beheaded. Bit harsh, blowing up a planet, but looked incredible. Was half expecting Nolan to be revealed as the grandson of Argyle or similar. Very much fun around the Last Supper and Collins the Caterpillars, but not the M&S versions.
Well, Alan's the Caterpillars, I guess.
Exactly. Thanks, Dr. Bob. So for anyone who's not knowing what that is a British retail chain called Marks and Spencer's, M&S, and they have Colin the Caterpillar's caterpillar cakes, which are green, or is like a chocolate Swiss roll or a Victoria sponge Swiss roll covered in chocolate, be it yellow, green, or brown chocolate, make it look like a cartoon caterpillar called Colin.
Yes, absolutely. Usually for kids' Christmas parties, but every other chain in the UK has tried to make their own one as well. So in this case, let's say Alan's Race made a version which are caterpillars in a bag like crisps. And that's their version of Colin's caterpillars.
Crunchy.
Excellent stuff. Yes, crunchy. Fantastic. Thanks, Dr. Bob, for your thoughts. I'm definitely expecting some kind of connection with Argyll, and who Nolan is, or which of the surviving Viltrumites is actually the heir to the Empire. Even though Thragg is taking over, he never took on the title of the king of their race, effectively. He's taken on this Grand Regent name, so he's not the leader. Whoever is Argyll's heir will be the leader, but that person hasn't been found, which is understandable since millions of them are dead. So totally get it.
Is there any bloodline left?
Is there a bloodline left? Exactly. Jason B says, I love this show so much. I wondered how powerful Thragg was going to be, and yikes, he's insane. I can't understand how they're going to stop him. It seemed like he was just toying with them the whole time. I'm scared for what he's going to do when he finds Mark's loved ones. Well, wait till episode 8.
Joe Herbst had this to say: wild episode. They made Thragg seem pretty magical. I thought one of our main heroes might die, but even Battle Beast was still there at the end. Really curious what happens in the season finale.
Yeah, Battle Beast was going head over heels out into space again, wasn't he?
Yep.
Fantastic. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. We also then, over on Facebook, had some feedback from David, Mr. Writer, who had this to say: well, Mr. Thragg, I wasn't familiar with your game. I've never seen someone put the dog beating on all the Viltrumites. The fight scenes were so epic that I've seen multiple clips go viral on social media. Now, Chris, or Derek, please explain if this is a pothole or is there some explanation. How come Thragg or other Viltrumites can punch right through each other, but when Thragg punched Nolan back into space, he didn't rip right through his body? Was the intention not to kill Nolan, but to hurt him? Is that why he's just pulling his punches? Or is there some explanation? You can explain in the next episode. Thanks, David. I think, and again, this is a comic explanation, if you will. I think it's to do with like we've heard it before, that the more they train, the stronger they become. So that like the faster they fly, the faster they fly, the more they can fly faster, etc. The more heavily they lift, they can do that. And then also, the more their bones and their skin is broken, the tighter and the stronger it comes back. I think that is partly the kind of comic lore around it. Yeah,
and I'd probably also say it's about control as well.
Yes.
So we've seen even Alan punch through a Viltrumite. He punched through the stomach and came out the mouth. A pretty brutal scene in that episode. That was because the Viltrumite was weakened by the virus that was given to her. Not virus, but the beetle. I'm going to say Beetlejuice, but that's a different movie. But by the serum from the beetles, he was weakened by that. But I think there is a possibility that you can punch hard enough if you want to. And these people are all really trained fighters. Thragg specifically has been training his entire life, and his life is thousands of years to be able to control what he does in his attacks. He knows exactly what he's doing. So I think here he didn't want to rip Nolan in half. So he used a third punch to punch him out into space rather than using a specific punch to take off his head with one hand. Yeah. So he did that too. Right.
It is also like it is mentioned that Thragg has been training as a regent since birth. And part of that is like, it's kind of inferred that like it was not an easy training. So again, it's that kind of like his bones were repeatedly broken so they would come back stronger. Yeah. That's why like he's able to take a punch to the head and just stare on straight.
Absolutely, yes. Can still stay dead in space when he gets a full punch from Mark, which we also see again in episode 8. Great stuff. That's all the feedback from the previous episodes. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. We're going to go into our episode 8 feedback after we discuss the episode, of course. And if you have any of that, please email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com, or go on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries, or our Discord, details of which are in the show notes for the episode. And you can leave your thoughts on the spoiler posts all over there.
Yes. But Derek, let's get into our episode 8 details. So can you tell us who gave us what, where, when, and how with the episode details?
Absolutely. For the final time this season, this show is based on the comic series written by Robert Kirkman and illustrated by Cory Walker and Ryan Ottley, developed for TV by Robert Kirkman, produced by Robert Kirkman, David Alpert, Catherine Winder, Simon Racioppa, Margaret M. Dean, Seth Rogen, and Evan Goldberg. The episode this time written by Simon Racioppa, who we've been mentioning as the producer of the show for weeks now. So finally, one of the lead writers on the show getting their own episode right here as well. So the episode was directed by Ian Abando. This is his second episode of the season after episode 4. So he directed the episode written by Robert Kirkman that we saw this season.
Nice.
Which I've been seeing in all the reviews for the season. Everybody going, I don't really know why that episode existed. All the other episodes match together, and all of them are really high rated. Why is the episode in there from Robert Kirkman? Well, he's the showrunner. He gets one episode that he wanted to expand upon his comic books, and he did it. There you go.
Everyone gets one.
Everyone gets one. It's in his contract. Chris, do you want to tell us what they gave us with season 4, episode 8? Don't leave me hanging here.
Sure. Mark, Nolan, and Tech Jacket race back to Earth, but despite Mark's worst fears, they find it intact. As Mark reunites with his mother, Eve, and his friends, he experiences hallucinations of Thragg killing them individually as retribution for the destruction of the Viltrumite homeworld. Nolan revisits the crater where he pummeled Mark and is confronted by a distrustful Cecil, who urges Nolan to get the coalition to arrive quickly if the Viltrumites arrive on Earth. Devi and Paul mutually ended their relationship, while Eve tearfully informs Mark that she aborted her pregnancy in fear of having to raise a baby alone. She didn't know what else to do. Debbie goes to Thalaskria with Nolan to care for Oliver, while Mark leisurely flies alone at Eve's suggestion to relieve some of his anxieties, only to add to them when he encounters Grand Regent Thragg high over planet Earth. Thragg informs Mark that the remaining 37 Viltrumites are indeed on Earth, secretly living among humans, to repopulate. He threatens to destroy the planet if they are disturbed, but promises they will not interfere positively or negatively with humans if they are left alone. After realizing he really has no choice at all, Mark reluctantly agrees to his terms. Meanwhile, the great Alan receives a post-mortem message from Thaddeus for his eye only. In the message, he is instructed to use the perfected Scourge virus to eliminate the remaining Viltrumites, even though it may also be lethal to Mark's people.
Ooh, post-credit setting up the next season of the show, I guess.
Pretty much.
With the great Alan. Yay, go Alan.
He is great.
He is. And I guess it's just also executive producer Seth Rogen. I guess they have to refer to him as the great Seth Rogen every time he walks into a room as well, right? Everybody does. He's just like gold in Hollywood at the moment, or in the TV industry at the moment. Everything he writes turns into like a massive project and makes a hell of a lot of money for every studio he's connected with.
Yeah, and the studio is very connected.
Well, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Studio and Apple. He's got Invincible and the Boys over here in Prime Video, and he has the Muppets over in Disney Plus as well, which was fantastic. Go check that out if you want a bit of a laugh. Go check out the new Muppets with Sabrina Carpenter. A great episode, really fun. Seth Rogen has a great cameo in there as well. So yes, all praise Seth Rogen, and thank you for bringing us such great TV.
Yes. Speaking of TV, should we jump into our discussions on this?
Absolutely. Yeah, let's kick into our points for this episode. I bundled one big thing together, Chris. I hope you don't mind. Mark's visions of death is our point number 1, because poor Mark is going through a lot of PTSD when he arrives back to the planet Earth, and consistently throughout the episode sees his version of what will happen to his friends, to his planet, if the Viltrumites are there when he arrives, right? So the opening of the episode is an amazing looking scene over the planet Earth as the Viltrumites that we've seen arrive on their ship, come out from space, go down to Earth, and lay waste to the planet. It is incredible looking. I love that they did this. It's obviously a little bit of a rug pull. All of us expected this to happen. If you haven't read the comic books, you expect this is what's going to happen. They will destroy the planet. So, what did you think as a comic book fan of these views here, Chris, when the Viltrumites are coming in and destroying the planet?
I thought they'd changed the comic book.
Yeah.
It looked amazing. And it partially I was kind of like, oh, so this is alternate history. Oh, because we have seen something like that before.
Yes.
With the multiversal marks. So I thought, oh, this is a vision of the future. This is, oh no, this is happening. Oh, are they completely like going left of field here? Mm-hmm. Has Robert Kirkman just decided this is how things will go?
He's like, if we end it in season 5, let's have the Viltrumites destroy the planet Earth at the end of season 4 so we can start season 5 on another planet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I for a second, I was like, oh, this is different. Spectacularly looking. Mm-hmm. Like, vicious looking.
Yes.
But at the same point, very pointed, if that makes sense, or poignant, I should say, in that it does focus on that. Yeah, it focuses on that one woman's view point when she kind of sees them coming, and then just to see her obliterated by a tidal wave. Mm-hmm. Just again, I don't want to. I will not belabor the point because I've mentioned it pretty much every episode, but the animation was just, again, taken up a notch repeatedly.
And all I'm saying, I know we tend not to like look at other people's podcasts and look at YouTube crap and internet crap, but all people that I see seem to talk about is the animation isn't as good as anime. They should have spent more money on the animation. And I'm looking at the scenes going, what are you talking about? It's a different type of show. Yeah. Completely. It's not an anime show. It's a show based on a comic book. So they've kept to the style of the comic book, but some of the sequences that they're putting on screen in these episodes are absolutely gorgeous and brutal at the same time. Yeah. They're absolutely amazing. And I think they're comparing them to like movies that took 15 years to develop, or 5 years to develop. And we're talking about an episode of the TV show here. So I don't really know, what they're expecting, but I wasn't expecting to see this brutality in the opening and to have Mark wake up and, oh, okay, well, Grant, all right. Well, this is just the vision that Mark sees. But to have it consistent when Mark arrives back down to his home and is talking to Debbie, and as he's talking to her, Thragg suddenly appears behind her and takes her head, very similar to how he took the head of Thetis last episode. Oh, like, I don't know whether it's wish fulfillment from animators, but getting to draw the main characters in these completely different situations where they're being ripped apart seems to be something they reveled in. We have William getting his jaw ripped off on campus, which is massively brutal. We haven't seen William all season, but we saw him for a couple of seconds this season when he met up with Eve. But seeing him with his jaw ripped off on campus and all of the students there being killed was incredible as well. You know, and you're seeing them all, and you're going, I wonder, will one of these be true at some point? Will one of these will one of these be revealed to be what's actually happening in front of Mark, and he can't believe it because of the PTSD he's going through? Yeah,
I literally thought that's what they were going to do.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for each one. I think that's what you're expected because it happens so many times. Mm-hmm. And I'll quickly circle back to the animation. The presentation of the PTSD symptoms, where you see the focus kind of blur in and out.
Yes.
With almost like the heartbeat. Yeah, and the pulse of Mark as he kind of is trying to fight to kind of his quickening breath. He's trying to slow it down. Mm-hmm. And then the overall kind of hue, I want to say hue, but like the distortion and hue coloring takes on, the scene takes on as you're like, oh, he's almost like going tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Based on the PTSD. It is interesting. we've talked about PTSD so many times across all of the shows we covered.
Yep.
It does come up quite a lot.
It certainly does, Chris, yes.
So I can say, actually, I enjoy how this has been portrayed, because it is. We've talked about the kind of the stress that Mark has been put under as a kind of expanded narrative across this show, kind of having had to kill Conquest, having attempted to take out Angstrom, and lost and not done it, and him coming back. I think it's definitely it's a reoccurring theme that does, and they've just upped it each time. So when you then are shown multiple fake outs, you're expecting one of them to be real. You're expecting it to, like, especially the Atom Eve one. Yes. When Eve is being kind of strangled, I pretty much was like, oh, they've changed it and this is going to be real, and this is going to be interesting, because we know about her kind of power set as well. Yeah. Being able to take her back to life. So I was like, oh, he's going to kill her and then it's going to be real. And
right. Yeah, of course. And she might be able to come back to life like she did in the Fight of Conquest. That's a good one. Yeah. Because you just don't know where it's going to go, or I didn't know where it was going to go. Just interesting that you mentioned the PTSD specifically, and we've mentioned the PTSD, because we see Rick again, William's boyfriend, and he comments on the fact that he can recognize Mark's PTSD because of his own transformation into being a Reaniman. Like, he's still recovering from that. That's the biggest thing that ever happened in his life back in season 1 of Invincible, and he's still recovering from the PTSD of that. And that's kind of what he's saying about Mark. I can't even imagine what his brain must be like if mine's melted because of that one situation I had to deal with, and Mark's dealing with planet-ending disasters on a daily basis. How is he able to keep going? You know, it's what it sounded like. So I thought that was quite interesting to just have that little drop line from a character we haven't seen in so long that a lot of people wouldn't even remember who he is at this stage. You know? Yeah, and it's so well written that, like, it's oh, I recognize that look. Where have you seen it? Oh, in the mirror. Yes, it's like exactly. So it's like so harsh to hear. Really, really good. And you mentioned, like, I just wanted to call out. So there's 5 different visions that happen in the episode. You know, this is something that, if someone did it once in the episode, that would be considered a huge amount. He sees 5 different visions. He sees Eve getting her skull crushed, as you mentioned. And then when he's sitting down talking to Cecil, he's having a chat with him about the debrief that they're going to have in the future. And then even Cecil gets ripped apart. Everybody gets destroyed. And Cecil's going, well, there's absolutely nothing anybody can do to stop the Viltrumites. It's the end of us as a planet, you know? So I can tell why everything is totally getting on top of Mark. He can't get out of any situation he's in. He walks in there and he just visualizes everybody around him dying at the hands of the Viltrumites. Yeah, because again, it's like 30 something. It's like a crazy amount. And like, we saw what 5 could do. We saw what 3 could do to a planet. You can imagine what 30-something can do. Yeah. And it's so interesting. I mentioned up front that I read the issue that this episode is based on. And the issue is basically Mark arrives at the planet after exactly what they do. He runs away from the ship when they get close to planet Earth. He arrives. Nolan follows him down. They land on the planet. They have a look around and go, well, things aren't destroyed. And then Thragg is there. And Thragg makes the offer, which we'll talk about later on. But there's none of this. There's a little bit at the start. There's a little bit of Cecil, I think, gets ripped in half in the opening panel or a couple of panels of that issue, but there's nothing like this. It's not constantly going on as he's trying to see where they could possibly be. So this whole sequence is all for the TV show, and I think it just works so well. Really, really good. Yeah, because what it does is it expands on the ending. And we'll get to it, but it's essentially it takes on that. It adds weight. Yes. The PTSD add weight, and then the actual overall just different hallucinations or visions, they add the weight to then why Mark says yes. But we can kind of get more into that later on. And it also satiates everybody who wants to know what would happen if the Viltrumites did decide to rip apart the planet Earth. So that's so everybody gets a little bit of wish fulfillment again. Great stuff. I think that's it on Mark's visions of death at the beginning. Yes. On point number 2, because we're wrapping up the series, there's loads of other things that have to be talked about in this episode and are talked about because we learn pretty quickly that Mark and Nolan have been away from the planet now for 10 months. Quite a significant amount of time being away. And there were loads of things left unresolved the last time they were on the planet. So they need to go and check them out.
Yeah. The one of the first fun ones I want to call out is obviously Cecil had using D.A. Sinclair and his lab girlfriend to do multiversal, transdimensional research to open a portal to save Monster Girl and Robot from the Flaxons.
Yes.
back
Disappeared back in episode 5, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go well. And it's the third or second misadventure they've had.
Oh, I think it might be more than that. I'm not. It felt like there was a loss, and this is it. This is the last time. I just wasn't sure. I think it might have even been. This is the third time this month or this week or something like that.
I think it's this week, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Cecil going, look, we've tried enough. We can't do anything. If they're going to get back here, they'll have to do it on their own. We can't do any more of this. So it may have been quite a significant amount of times that it's been done over the last 10 months as well. So, yeah. So that's how they're resolving Monster Girl and Robot, who were in a different dimension and are now on the other side of it, is... We can't get them back. They have to find out a way to get back themselves now.
Yep. I want to very quickly, did any of it remind you of a certain What If episode?
No, and I can't flash back to it.
Captain Carter?
Oh, of course, yes.
Yes, the big tentacles, the Leviathan coming out. There you go. Yeah, I thought the second I saw that, I went, oh, please, I hoped for a split second they were going to, spit out a Captain Carter-like-esque kind of, or Captain America-esque character just to get that, just for them to be then killed or something. Right. I thought they were going to do something funny.
Just spit out her shield or something. Yeah.
But yes, that's how they are going to resolve it. I'm assuming next season we'll touch back in on it and we'll kind of there'll be more discussions. Yeah.
I'm glad they did. We actually mentioned it last episode that it was something that I really wanted to see them come back to. So I'm glad they just at least referenced it. We know they're still not back. You've been away for 10 months, but let's just clarify. In those 10 months, they're still not back in our dimension, right? So, exactly. Speaking of Cecil, though, a great showdown moment almost with Nolan, where Nolan goes to visit the site of that massive battle with Mark, the crater effectively that was left behind, and Cecil arrives. I love how tentative Cecil seems to be here. You know, he worked with Nolan for 20 years, wasn't it? Yeah. He trusted him with everything he did. Nolan is the person that's supposed to be protecting the planet for all of those years. And Cecil is kind of seeing him for the first time since the big incident and him leaving the planet. So, I love that Cecil kind of knows if this goes bad, I could lose my head right here. You can tell from him that he wants to say something, but also doesn't want to push it just in case of Nolan, which is an interesting place to see Cecil because he seems to be a person that's in control of every situation.
Yes.
Yeah. So there was a really interesting line, and I want to make sure that I got the meaning of it right, where Cecil says to Nolan, I don't trust you, die 2,342 more times and then we'll talk. Cause he says, I thought you were dead. That's the number of people that were killed in the Chicago incident, I think. So I think Cecil's saying you still haven't paid the debt of all of the people that have died, at your hands or because of what you did. And until you have died those amount of times, don't come talking to me.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
That's my guess.
I thought it was something to do with the age. But yeah, you're right. That sounds more because of the wall. I remember the wall. That makes more sense.
There you go. So that's what I was thinking. That it's the number of people that died in the Chicago incident. It could just be the amount of time that Cecil has died and been brought back to life. I don't think so.
He's an LMD. He's an LMD.
Well, we do have one of them working for him. Donald, who works for Cecil, who may have died 2,342 times so far. You know, he's sacrificed himself quite a lot over the course of the couple of seasons since he found out he was a robot, life model decoy type character, right? So maybe he's referencing that. If you can sacrifice yourself as much as Donald has for me, then we can talk. I'm going to go for Chicago as the inside.
Makes more sense.
Yeah. Other stuff that happened while they were away, Chris. Let's talk about Debbie.
Yeah, exactly. So Debbie, we later find out within this episode. So Debbie and Paul are no more.
Yeah.
That's fine. She called it off. Not recently, very soon after the boys went away.
Yeah.
So obviously that, but it was amicable split. They're still in business together or working at the same realty place.
Yeah.
And she is a badass.
Yes,
again.
she is. Yes.
I think is the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
I really, Debbie as a character now, I see more and more just kind of becoming this. It's not that she was a lesser supporting character in the comic books, but I think just because of who is voicing the character, and on top of that, they have the time and ability to flesh out some of these characters so much more. Same with Rex. The same with like they've expanding on these characters that you're like, oh yeah, why not like really lean into when you have an Emmy Award winning actress?
Well, yeah,
portraying her.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely that. And can I say one thing? I'm a massive Robert Kirkman fan. I've read every single issue of Walking Dead. I adore him, and now I've read quite a lot of Invincible now. And specifically when reading the two storylines we're talking about here, about Eve and Debbie, in the comic books, you can tell he was a 24-year-old boy writing the comic books. No offense to him. He wrote the entire book. He is the creator, owner of these books. He wrote the story he wanted to tell. There's nothing that's in this episode that didn't happen in the comic books. But having a team of writers, including women who may have gone through the actual experience that he's writing about, has really added so much to Debbie's character and added even more to Eve's character. I love how they're written in this episode. I love how they've been written this season. They're not just throwaway to, okay, Nolan arrives. What's Debbie's reaction to Nolan? Which is the way Kirkman kind of wrote this scene. What's Debbie's reaction to what Nolan is doing, as opposed to how would Debbie herself be in this situation with all of her family, with her being at home on her own for 10 months because her whole family are superheroes out in space and she's left at home worrying about them. And mostly because she married the wrong guy when she was young. So what's her reaction? How would she play with that? And they've done such a good job. These moments where they're just little things I love about it, where she makes the decision to go to space because Paul says to her, well, look, you'll work it out because I know you're tenacious. You are the kind of person that says, I will go to space and you'll make it happen. So go and do it. And she goes, right, I'm doing it. And just a little touch that she says to Mark, right, the bills are on auto pay because I have no idea how long I'm going to be away. Right? That is a total mom thing to do. You can have the house. Bills are sorted, don't need to worry about it, because she did worry about it before she made the decision to fly off into space with Nolan. I love that she berates Nolan when she tells him we're going to space. Well, we can't land the ship. Well, you'll bloody work out a way to get me onto the ship then, won't you? You know, I love it. It's absolutely brilliant. And of course she's going to be there for Oliver. Oliver is just as much of her son as Mark has been, and she has been there tending to Mark's wounds over and over again over the 5 or 6 years since he got his powers. Of course she was going to be there for Oliver, whether he's out in Telescria or whether he's down the road in his own house. I loved it. Thought it was really, really cool that she gets this big moment. And again, it's in the comic. It's not that it's not. But in the comic, there's an allusion to the fact that Nolan and herself are getting back together. And Nolan's going, yeah, I knew I'd get her back. That's not here in this. You know, like he's just about able to get her to look at the amazing view of Earth as the spaceship takes off and goes out. She's reading a book instead of looking out the window at Earth, you know? And he's just about able to get her to get off her high horse for a second to look at this amazing view. And he can't even reach out and touch her on the shoulder. He knows there's a lot of work still to do between the two of them. It's great.
You've touched on it, so I'm happier to put it in there. So yes, in the comic books, there is this illusion and there's a bit of a narrative play that they are kind of flirting with each other and things it's a will they, won't they again kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're right, that's not here. And that ending shot where he's reaching out to touch on her shoulder while they're looking at Earth, but it hovers over.
Yes.
I was like,
it's great,
well
isn't it?
done. It is. Because, again, you're right. Kirkman was a 20-something-year-old when he wrote this, would not have had that much experience with loss, adultery, craziness, all that type of thing. Now he does. And you're right, it's a writer's room.
Yeah.
So, you're right, there probably was a point where they're like, okay, we're going to tick the box. Okay, well, now Debbie and Nolan need to start thinking about getting back together or have some kind of twinkle in the eye. No, we don't need that now. We can push that back to next season because it doesn't feel right.
Exactly.
And that's the point I'm like, that's why it's interesting.
Absolutely, and even the clip that I chose for the opening of the episode here, the conversation between the two of them, between Nolan and Debbie, even in that, there's little tweaks to what Nolan's saying to her about understanding why she gives people a second chance and thinking that he is deserving of it, but he knows he has to work for it. She knew him as a person, even if he didn't know himself, and even if he wasn't sharing everything about himself, she knew who he was. All of those things which are showing a growth in Nolan, which we talked about in the incredible scene a couple of episodes ago where Debbie's not willing to even listen to him, where he was arriving back and going, well, just forgive me because we used to be in love. Why not? Sorry, baby. I left you for somebody else, had a child with her, but take me back because we used to love each other. Here we have an actual conversation between two adults who were in love before, and he's now reaching a point where he understands what she means. Not he's saying words that he thinks might placate her. He feels like he's understanding. So as their relationship develops a bit more, when we get into season 5, I think the groundwork is now laid in this conversation that wasn't laid in previous conversations, because it really did sound like, hey baby, how you doing? Hey, do you like my cheeky smile? Can we just move back in with each other? And that's what it felt like. And in the comics, I can kind of see that that's how Robert Kirkman wrote it. He wrote it from the bloke's point of view, coming back to the girl he cheated on, saying, hey baby, let me back into the house, So I think the expanded writer's room really, really helps. And the other major thing that happens here, 10 months later, we talked about it when the original reveal that Eve was pregnant and that's why she was losing her powers. I said, God, I just don't want this character to go down a path that just feels like every other comic book. I forget Robert Kirkman is great at changing those things that you expect to happen. He's really good at doing a different take on characters. But Eve choosing to have an abortion because she had no idea when Mark would return from space, whether he was going to be dead, whether she was going to have to raise the baby alone. This is all really well handled in the episode, I felt. In the comics, and I don't want to criticize the comics, in the comics, there seems to be more emphasis on the fact that she's put on weight and she's concerned that Mark won't love her anymore because she's fat. And it's like, well, that's not the thing, is it? Like, it feels like that's part of it. And it's also because she doesn't want to tell Mark that she has had an abortion because she didn't tell him that she was pregnant beforehand. But it feels like they spend about as much time on her going, well, I let myself go while you're away and I'm really sorry, but I shouldn't have, That feels like something that, again, a 25, 26-year-old would write in their creator-owned comic book, and a team of writers would go, no, I think you need to step back from that and talk about what actually the character's experiencing.
Yeah. I was very happy. And yes, you're right. In the comic books, it's a bit more... Yeah. It never sat 100% right. But here, it's played in one line, and is played off in one line. In that, she goes, well, I wasn't able to look after myself, and he just doesn't care. Mm-hmm. And that's the mature difference in the narratives and how the dialogues have changed.
Yeah.
And you're right. Abortion is a tricky subject to play right. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Probably the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
It's never an easy thing to write anyway. Mm-hmm. So I think this is probably one of the best ways they could have handled it, and they did then. And it's like we've talked about other shows that have not handled it well. Mm-hmm. And this was one of the ones that did. And I think it deserves its flowers for that.
Yeah.
I think the only problem I see with this narrative, this kind of storyline, is because of the nature of Invincible, the comic books, the arcs, and the season. Mm-hmm. this won't get touched on as much until like a year from now in the next season. And then it's that kind of like you've almost lost the narrative like, it depends on how they play it, I think, is the thing. Well, like, you have to kind of you'll have to remind the audience about it, but then you need to almost show them nearly the full scene.
Yeah.
Again, as a last time on Invincible, because you can't just say, like, flash to, oh, I had an abortion.
Yeah.
And then cut away again.
Absolutely, because the line from Mark is just as important, I think, in the scene where he is taking full responsibility, saying, I never should have left you in that situation. I never should have put you in that situation. I never should have left you in that situation. There's no judgment, no criticism, nothing at all, except of Mark himself. I shouldn't have left you in that situation. It's a really well written line. Love it.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really good. So well done for the show, for upping their game on these incredible scenes. And again, the whole episode takes place in 2 issues, I think it is. But little bits of this are spread across the next 5 or 6 issues afterwards, and bringing them all in to give an ending of sorts to the characters that we have been following for 4 seasons here, so that we can move into next season with at least some of their storylines moved along. I think it was a great choice.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah. Should we move into the final kind of ending and our final point for this episode?
Absolutely.
Which is the offer. So Mark goes for his beautifully animated flight.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they'll do this once or twice a season, where they'll put Mark flying to some fantastic music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so well done.
I was convinced this time that it was 21 Pilots, but it's Death Cab for Cutie, I think, is the people who sang it. It's a beautiful song, really, really good song. Yeah. Worked really well for the scene. And to see Mark flying in space, and then, he's being told he must do it, even though he doesn't want to see him flying across the planet and then just dropping like a stone out of air, as if he doesn't want to control himself. He wants to fall to Earth. He catches himself. But I really like that as a choice, because he's trying to relieve his fears. He's trying to get a bit of air into him, and then he also looks like he might make the choice just to drop out of the sky. Yeah.
I did think at one point he was going to cause a tsunami, because he does go so fast, and then drops and stops and all that. Uh-huh. But it's so well punctuated by that stop.
Yes.
Where you do then see the silhouette of Thragg.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the number of hallucinations throughout the episode, you're left wondering, like, is this true? Is this just another feint out? And it's so well done. We talked about Lee Pace embodying that kind of, and that gravitas and role as the regent.
Mm-hmm.
This offer. And again, do you call it an offer, or if it's just like a statement?
It is.
This is
absolutely
happening.
A statement. Yeah.
Yeah. So seeing how this is kind of delivered,
and
then cutting away to all the other Viltrumites.
Yes.
Did you see they pretty much copied from the comic books?
Yes, absolutely. Panel by panel. Yeah.
Panel by.
We have Lucan walking down the street in like a business suit. We have Anissa being wolf whistled at in the park. And then my favourite, of course, is General Krieg with his eye patch on, riding the side of a motorcycle with a new hot lady by his side, as Thragg expands on the offer. The offer isn't just to let them live there. The offer is, well, Mark, we've seen you. You're pretty powerful. You're the best thing that could happen to the Viltrumite race, other than having pure blood Viltrumites. So, because of knowing you, we now know that we can repopulate our entire species by impregnating your entire planet. And the offer here is, leave us alone until we've repopulated our race, or there will be a terrible ending for everybody here, and it will be your fault. Ooh.
Yeah. Again, I said Lee Pace delivers this with such, I can only say gravitas. There's probably a better term for it. It is just so, like, strong, gravelly, but at the same point, it is then Stephen Young's response to that. It's every now and again when you talk about voice actors, you have envisioned them being in 2 separate kind of booths and they're probably not playing off each other. This literally felt like two actors on a stage playing off each other.
Yeah.
So well done. The amount of takes it could have taken, I don't know.
Yeah.
But seeing Stephen deliver that line of Mark just going, no, no, no. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't possibly do that. I came here to take you out. There's no way you can ever live on my planet. Yes. Yeah, absolutely loved it. I went down a total rabbit hole over the course of the last couple of months, with the voice acting, clips that the Invincible team have been putting up on YouTube of each of the cast members doing their scenes, over the last couple of years. It's just fantastic. Go watch them do it. You could see how much Stephen Yeun puts into his performance of Mark and the rest of the cast as well. They're just fantastic. They get such great performances out of all this amazing cast that Robert Kirkman's been picking up from all the shows and movies that he's been involved in.
Yeah. This will pay off. This will play into other seasons.
Yeah. I was going to say, will it? Because the part of the interesting offer that comes from Thragg is we will not interfere positively or negatively. We will not help or hinder the human race. As long as we're left alone, you will never see me again, is the final line that Thragg says to Mark. So suddenly I'm like, oh wow, you could actually take the Viltrumites off the table. And from animator point of view, you could maybe animate, Thragg in the background of a scene, in season 5 or season 6 or season 8, you don't have to come back to these Viltrumites for a long time, because effectively, as long as everybody has the agreement of what's going to happen, we may not see them until they've started to repopulate, which could be 20 years like it was for Nolan, right?
Yep. So that's the literally where I was about to go with this, which is, we know we have season 5.
Mm-hmm.
We have not heard about season 6 yet.
Yeah.
But we can assume, it
does very well.
It's doing very well. It is up there in the top 10.
Yeah.
And before the boys came, it was number 1 in most countries for a while.
Absolutely.
More so than their young Sherlock Holmes, which they poured a load of money into as well.
Yeah. They get a second season though, and it's very good.
Yeah. So
That's where one of the cast members from Wheel of Time went to, Chris.
I know.
So at least you got your Irish cast member from Wheel of Time has another show on Prime Video.
Yes,
he's very good too.
Yeah, he was. But sorry, the reason I bring this is because you can now. Exactly what you said, which is you can put Viltrumites into small cutaways in the background for the next season, the season after, and then come back to this story later. Yeah. Because we don't need, you don't want to bore people with Superman versus Superman fighting every season. Yeah. So now you can cut away for a season, leave them be, and leave Nolan and Alan and the Scourge virus for a full season, 8 episodes, 8 hours, and then come back to it later. And then you've got 5, 6, and a 2. You've got a nice 6 seasons and a movie to fit. Peace. So I think it's so well done. And again, as you say, we're only halfway through the amount of comic books.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just beyond halfway point. Yeah, we're about 80 out of 140, isn't it? And it's such an interesting choice. You said it up front, Chris, and that's why I stopped you back then. We've now talked about the episode. You said it up front. They've finished the Viltrumite War and the story between the Viltrumites and Mark and Nolan. That's there. Nobody won. It's at a pause, and that pause can be taken off if they want to at some point in the future. But we may never see it. If the story is linear and only takes place over the next couple of years, well, the Viltrumites can't repopulate their race until the humans that they've impregnated have children and they grow up, right? So that could easily, that could be 20, 30, 40 years, right? So, or they could all grow like Oliver and 2 or 3 years they suddenly have a new army. So we'll see how it works. But I love that they ended the season with an end to the Viltrumite War, and this means nobody wins.
I think it was when it was done in the comic books, I loved it because it was a left of field decision.
Absolutely.
For you don't expect your comic book writer and your comic book reader to basically go, nope, we're just not going to finish it.
Exactly.
We're going to go into hiding.
I'm done with that now.
With this. Yeah. So I have seen people go, "What? This cannot be the end." And I'm like, no, but it is. But that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Robert Kirkman's, he did it with Walking Dead, where he played upon your standard zombie fare kind of tropes. And here he played upon your standard superhero tropes.
Exactly.
Where, yeah, you can't, when people are as powerful that they can rip apart a planet, when there's multiple of them, you have to get to a stalemate. Like, it is the nuclear arm race. It is the Cold War.
Exactly.
It is when everyone can destroy each other. You can't have it, and I think it's just such a sensational choice. And I'm so happy they kept with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. As you say, the only other choices are either they do destroy them all or they don't, and they make peace. And here, it's not even that. It's you'll never see us again. Leave us alone. We are building a massive army. We are repopulating our entire race of people. Leave us alone while we do that, because that's the payment for you destroying our planet. Now your planet is ours. Wow. What a moment. What a moment.
And when Cecil finds out.
Well, yes. Absolutely, especially because he had words for Nolan about his early warning system that he was setting up that would take 2 weeks to get anybody from the coalition back to their planet. Like, I hope you're setting up on the moon maybe to be close if they come back, because 2 weeks ain't going to cut it. The entire planet will be destroyed in about 15 minutes. So really like that from Cecil. It was really good.
I was really hoping when they were turning on the system, it was just going to go. Beep, 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 beep,
Exactly, they're already here.
Yeah. It's like, oh God, it's broken. No.
Looking distantly out into space for something that's already there. Really, really good.
Fantastic ending. So do we want to move on to the post-credit?
Yep, absolutely. Final post-credit of the season is that Alan, now the great Alan, receives a message from Thetis, who has specifically recorded this message in case he dies and Alan is left. Woo.
Yep. It can kill the Scourge virus. See, this is the bit was left out of. So the new information on this for everyone is that the genetic makeup of humans is so closely linked to that of Viltrumite, why they can kind of reproduce so well together, it will potentially be the new version of the Scourge virus will potentially be lethal to humans too.
Yes.
So essentially, he is asking Alan, telling Alan, or instructing Alan, if you will, from the grave to essentially commit genocide the same way he did on Viltrum on Earth to take out the remaining Viltrumites and which will, side effect, take out humans.
Yes. And don't let your special feelings for the Earthlings get in the way.
Yep.
Wow. What a moment. And Alan, being the biggest fan of Uath that he was when he first arrived on Earth and realized he was monitoring the wrong planet, which was always great. That's what he's left with. Loved this really scary moment that effectively, just like the conversation that Nolan had with Thragg last episode, Thragg wasn't willing to sacrifice his entire race. Would Thaddeus do the same? And here, proof positive, Thetis was willing to sacrifice not only all of the Viltrumite race, but also the Earth, because they have similar DNA. So quite a big moment. Also loving the scene. Telia is bringing in the data pad for Alan to view, and says it's only for your eyes. It's for your eye only. I'll sex it out of you later, which is really good. So Talia will probably know the plan in the future, although it's a bit of a terrifying thing that Alan's been asked to do, so maybe he'll be able to keep it to himself.
I 100% doubt it. For his sake, I hope he does.
Yes, he'll be running out of the room screaming for everybody's help.
I really don't know how they'll play with this next season. So again, they may not need to. They may just do it the same way that we did as season 1 to season 3, where you made the joke about Uath, and they didn't come back to it for ages. Yeah, with Alan, this may now kind of be that kind of hanging thread that's just left slightly.
It's in the background. We now know Alan has it. Alan probably won't use it immediately, and the Viltrumites have disappeared, so will Mark keep that information to himself that the Viltrumites are on Earth? Again, in the comics, it's himself and Nolan that are with Thragg. It's not Mark on his own, but here, Mark has made this deal on his own. He hasn't told anybody else around him of what's happened, so if he keeps it to himself, then I guess Alan will spend the next season trying to find the Viltrumites around the galaxy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if he does, then this doesn't get used, right? So, because I doubt he's just going to fire it out into space, hoping that it works. But that's kind of it for the episode. Chris, is there anything else you want to mention at all from the episode that we didn't mention?
No, the only really one I just will briefly mention is, yes, Tech Jacket does go back to Earth. We do get a fun scene with her, with Nolan and Mark, where she's talking and they're just not listening. And I did find that harsh and fun. Yeah. And then we do get a nice reunion with her father, and the joke that one of the most technically advanced races can't pull together the toilet and the shower because it was broken on the satellite.
Yeah, I think her dad just got very lazy, Chris.
Yes.
Yeah, the washing machine's broken as well. Yeah, I wasn't just sitting here
the
eating
Swedish
crisps
fish on his face.
Exactly. I wasn't here just eating crisps waiting for you to return. Promise.
No, but it's a fun, nice return for them.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was kind of it, really. What about yourself? Do you have anything else you want to bring in notes-wise?
No, I think that's exactly it. That's the only one that I wanted to talk about as well, was just Tech Jacket, because I hope we see more of her. I thought she was really good in the scenes that we saw this season, so hopefully we'll see more of Zoe next season. Be cool.
Yes.
Final thoughts on Invincible, Chris. What did you think overall of this episode and I guess this season 4 of Invincible?
I really enjoyed it. I think, personally, I can't believe they did do what they did in terms of, and that's not a criticism, that's not oh my god, they did this. This is they stayed so truthful to the comic books, and some of the things that made the comic books such an icon and such a masterpiece, kind of quote unquote, in my head. They expanded on it by using and continuing to use some of the best voice actors in the business, or actors in the business, and really, with some amazing casting, really lean into, well, we know this, so we're going to create a foil to Nolan. We're going to create a foil, like, from a voice perspective, but then also breathing and letting, like, Debbie have her moments really so much better. And they didn't shy away from really just zeroing in on, well, okay, it's 2026. Or 2025 when they're writing this. Let's update some of these points that could have been not problematic, but were just not as fleshed out as they could have been or should have been. Yeah, just overall, this episode,
better writing associated with it. Yeah,
exactly. Overall, this episode I really enjoyed, and yeah. As a season, I so much enjoyed it. It was just some of the best content, and as you kind of said at the very beginning, we're eating good. My concern is that it's a year. Another year we might, and it's not even a concern. It is I just wish we had more content in like 6 months. But they each year kind of go, okay, here it is. And it's fantastic. So it's worth the wait. It's not a 2-year wait this time. So it's just a year. I'm making an assumption it's a year again. But yes, it's probably. So yeah.
It probably isn't. And the biggest concern lots of people have with all the TV shows that they watch is you watch your 6 or 8 episodes now, and then it's 2 years till you see the next season, and you go, I have to watch that show like 3 times between the first one and the next one so I can remember what's going on. Like, what was it? 3 Body Problem was on Netflix, a really good, heavy sci-fi show. I can't remember a thing about that. I have no idea what that show was about. And the second season's coming out now, 2.5 years since the previous one. I'm like, oh no, I have to go back and watch a heavy sci-fi show again. I know I liked it, so I can't wait to watch the next one, but You know, in the old days, it was 22 episodes, a break for summer, and then 22 more episodes, basically, you know?
That's why Canada became so popular, because everyone was just living up there. All the TV stars were living up there for years.
Exactly.
Well, they're also nice people too, I suppose.
Yes, they are. And it's a great country. Great country.
Derek, what about yourself? What was your view, I suppose, what's your final view on this episode and the actual season as a whole?
I have absolutely fallen in love with Invincible as a show every single week. I can't wait to hear what's going to happen, what they're going to do. They twist and change things to the point where I can't predict what's going to happen at all. And I should have been so used to that from knowing Robin Kirkman's writing on The Walking Dead, where characters would come in and you go, "Wow, this is the new central character." Oh no, they're dead. That was absolutely what he did all the way throughout that book. I should have known he did the same for Invincible, but it's been an absolute joy to watch. So many really interesting changes. I watched this episode, as I said, immediately after recording our penultimate podcast, and then went, "Oh, that was quite somber. It was way more somber than I thought." And then when I watched it again, I went, "That was massively brutal." It showed every single death you could possibly imagine on screen. Yes, okay, they weren't actually deaths, but there's a lot more to these episodes and a lot more to what's happening than just having to see people punch each other. There's a lot more character work going on. Great acting, great writing, and now having read this in the comic books, I know they've really upped their game on what they're delivering with the TV show, as well as keeping true to a great comic book as well. So that's always good.
Yeah, it's not just punchy, kicky.
This show for me, we're covering The Boys, which is our most viewed podcast, our most listened to podcast. It's about 3 times as much listenership that the Invincible gets. We're covering Daredevil Born Again, which is another one of our biggest shows, one that we've been covering now for 10 years, the characters in Marvel, going all the way back to the beginning of our Defenders TV podcast. But Invincible is a show for me. I will cover this regardless of what else we're covering, because I really enjoy podcasting about it. And I love that our listeners have really taken it on board as well. Lots of our fellow Defenders are now over here as fellow Guardians, listening and enjoying along with ourselves each week to Invincible. So I'm really glad about that. I'm glad we're going to be able to cover it. I just hope, once again, I'll say it, I just hope next year they don't all come out in the same week. It would be really preferable if we weren't covering all of them at the same time.
Exactly. Let's give us a break.
Yes. But speaking of our wonderful fellow Guardians, let's get over to some feedback. First up, we have an email in from Coffee and Vodka who says, "Greetings, fellow breeding stock defenders. Well, I guess Mark's debriefing is going to be a bit more interesting than planned. Everything about this episode was perfectly plotted, written, voiced, animated, and directed. The same can pretty much be said for the season as well. Mark's PTSD became mine, as well as Eve's doubt and grief, Debbie's anger, Mark's and Nolan's hope and guilt, and Zoe's dad's relief. It's said that the quality of a show can be gauged by how well it draws you in, making you part of the experience. By this measure, Invincible has easily been the best of the 3 of the current TVPI batch. So much for speculation about Junior and setting Alan up to be the potential big bad of season 5. Brilliant. Though it would be a good thing to let Nolan know he might want to put in for a refund on that early warning system. 5 teleported tentacles, mom and pop Star Treks, and impossible decisions out of 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and Vodka." Fantastic Coffee Vodka. I'm glad you enjoyed it as much as we did. It's just the roller coaster of emotions watching this finale episode were way more than I thought I was going to be experiencing in the finale, especially because it basically came out down to a conversation between the big bad and our main hero, and that's kind of it. Everything else was, character work.
Yeah, agreed. And 5 teleported tentacles. Well done. Well done. Well done.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. I think you're right on the early warning system, and that's the fun part. But then you agree on Mark's PTSD. Again, I'm not going to belabor the point about how kind of it's been so well written and kind of shown and animated. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it really does. It is done in such a way that it does become yours, because it's just that kind of heartbeat that so well done.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Coffee and Vodka.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Coffee Vodka. Over to Discord, Chris.
Yes, we have some feedback from Richard Blaze, who had this to say. "Wow, what an ending to an amazing season this was. Must admit that from the beginning I was equally excited and disappointed to see the Viltrumites on Earth, just imagining another big battle, but the shot of them emerging from the smoke was a thing of beauty. When it switched and it was focused on what Mark was imagining may happen, I realised that the episode was really just about superhero PTSD and the importance of talking through problems or fears and worries, which actually made the episode more realistic and shocking and poignant all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Eve talking about her abortion was also part of this, to be honest, with herself and with Mark. The ending, though, my god, that is cold. To have them on Earth, allowed to breed while Mark knows about them there, to bring back the race again, that's some nasty ass fascist shit right there.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of pressure on Alan with the Scourge virus, but at least he'll be able to talk about it when it's been sexed out of him. This has been a really strong season that's asking a lot of questions of viewers. Not only to indulge in the violence, but to look closely at the impact of everyone involved. This show can do nothing wrong for me, except episode 4, as it didn't fit. Not that it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
On a side note, had to go back and listen to the podcast and watch each show again, as clearly the medication I was on was some really good stuff. Certainly an eye-opener listening to your comments read out, not remembering writing them at all. Anyhow, I'm on the mend, medication has stopped, so I'm fully in control of my actions now, and should be back moving fully around within the next few weeks. Keep up the great work, as always, guys. Thanks, Rich. I'm glad you're on the mend.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's some very strong medication. Congratulations. That was, you probably lost a few weeks, months, years. Yeah. But I'm glad you're on the other side of it.
Absolutely. I got ibuprofen and paracetamol for when I fractured my ankle. That was it. That was all I had. Yeah. So I had to. I didn't miss any days, but maybe there is a few podcasts that I don't remember recording. I've recorded a lot this year, so maybe there's a few of those. But I'm so glad to hear you're on the mend, Richard. It's such a tough thing to be stuck at home, so I'm glad we had at least an outlet for your subconscious mind to talk about the shows that you're watching.
Yes, exactly. Yes, agreed. And thanks, Rich. You seem to have enjoyed the show on or off medication, on and off medication as much as we did. So great to have you on that and have you with this. But yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. A little bit more feedback on Discord. Joe Herbus said, a bit of an odd episode. I like some of the stuff in it, but that is a weird situation at the end. I guess Mark didn't just imagine that conversation though. I kept expecting that he might be. And I guess the alert system Nolan set up didn't work. Overall, a great season. Great stuff, Joe. No, the alert system would work, but they're looking out in space for the Viltrumites. And the Viltrumites have already arrived, so the early warning system will not work because they're already here. Yep. So I guess that's probably what it is. And yeah, I guess that's the opposite of what we were saying about all the visions that were taking place, that you're expecting one of those visions to be real. You're expecting that, suddenly Thragg will arrive behind Eve, the most important person in Mark's life, and is actually ripping off her head. But that's another vision. By the time it gets to the end of the episode, you're going, is it a vision or not here? He's talking to Thragg. But I love that Thragg confirms it going, no, we are already here. So no, that did happen. The conversation is there, and we'll see how that plays out in future seasons, potentially.
Definitely. It will play out. I just don't think next season.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's great to keep it on the boil for 2 or 3 more seasons. That would be great for me.
Oh yeah. Hey, if we want to go as long as you can.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. We also got a piece of feedback from Dr. Bob. Mm-hmm. Can confidently say I failed to predict all but one of the plot points in this episode. Didn't expect the absence of genocide, or Debbie deciding to head off to another planet, or Cecil to be searching for Monster Girl, or Eve to no longer be pregnant. What a scene, though. Mm-hmm. Or Mark to be having psychotic breaks, or Zygon evasion to occur, or Alan to be entrusted with multi-species annihilation. Mm-hmm. All made so much sense, though. None out of character arcs in this season. Mm-hmm. What did I predict? Paul never did get no pancakes. You're right, Dr. Bob. Congratulations. You got it right.
Yeah. Well, I would say he didn't get any on-screen pancakes. I'm sure they made pancakes once the boys were gone and they were staying together. Maybe her pancakes were terrible, and that's why Debbie and Paul broke up.
Oh, God, can you imagine?
I'd break up with someone if the pancakes were terrible, Chris.
No, you can just order out.
For pancakes?
Yes.
No. Make pancakes yourself. It's the simplest thing in the world, and they're much nicer.
I don't know. I will take you to a pancake place beside us.
So what you're saying, Chris, is if we were in a relationship, I would break up with you.
Yes.
Because your pancakes
but not just
enough.
for pancakes. Multiple other reasons.
There are a few other reasons.
Ultimate reasons.
Fantastic. If there's any more feedback that comes in between now and when I put out the podcast, I'll cover it off, Chris, if that's okay. I know we're recording the same day, and I know you don't have the capacity to pop back on, because it's going to be a year before we come back with the next season of Invincible. And we're saying that with crossed fingers, knowing it's currently being animated and it's currently being recorded. So we're really hopeful that we'll get to see them back next year with Invincible Season 5.
Yes, can you imagine? It will be 2027 when we are talking to our fellow Guardians again. Yeah. What will have happened?
Well, the rest of the season of The Boys and the rest of the season of Daredevil Born Again are also happening, so you can join us over there on tvpodcastindustries.com, where you can listen to all of our coverage of all of those shows as well. So you don't have to be without us as your podcast of choice. Just Invincible podcasting for a little while longer. Yeah.
But do you know what else? We'll have podcasted about Spider-Man, Brand New Day. We will have podcasted about the Avengers, Doomsday.
Oh, wow.
All of this is happening in 2026 before the next episode that we talk about of Invincible. But it will be good.
And with that all said, we actually did get a bit of feedback in before I'm releasing the podcast. Jason B has his thoughts. He says, whoa, what an episode. I love the whole thing. Did not see the story heading in that direction, but so happy it did. Biggest surprise was Krieg already addicted to cigarettes. Imagine lung cancer is what takes him out. That's an ad for the dangers of smoking right there. Thragg's quote, "You do not have a choice, and yet you still must make one," really stuck with me because he is absolutely correct. Thank you, Lee Pace. Ronan is still my favourite Marvel villain, and his delivery for this character is quickly making Thragg my favourite in this. Oh, fantastic, Jason. Yes. Lee Pace has just been brilliant this season. Just that calm and measured villainy. He just delivers so well in Guardians of the Galaxy, in The Hobbit, and in this as well. Really, really good. So really delighted that you've been enjoying him as well. Thanks so much for that feedback, Jason. And once again, thank you all so much for joining us for this season of Invincible. Back over to Chris and me in the past to say goodbye.
Make sure you go over to tvpodcastindustries.com and subscribe to each and every feed we have there, so you never miss out on anything. But then
just subscribe to the one feed that has everything on it. That's the TV podcast.
So much easier.
Feed. Yeah, loads of stuff on there.
But hey, if you want to subscribe to everything, you can do that too.
True.
Because you can support us as well, not just by subscribing, but by heading on over to patreon.com/tvpodcastindustries and supporting us for any ongoing monthly amount. Or if you want to do a one-off donation, you can head on over to buymeacoffee.com/tvpi, where you can support Derek as he edits into the wee hours of the morning.
Do you know how much editing I've been doing with three podcasts
he
every
needs
weekend?
a lot of coffee. He needs a lot of coffee.
Yeah, I'm getting onto the wine and whiskey to keep me up late now, Chris. So that's getting more expensive than just coffee.
It's coffee and vodka. He understands.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Mix of both going on at the moment. But thank you so much for all of your support. You can also support us, of course, by sharing the podcast. If you've enjoyed what you listen to, love you to share it with other people that are as interested in the shows that we're covering as you are. And thanks so much for all of your support over the last 4 seasons of Invincible. We hope to come back for the 5th season, hopefully in 2027.
Yes. So, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back, as Derek says, hopefully in 2027, when Invincible returns for Season 5. But until then, keep watching, keep listening, and keep being invincible.
Bye.
Bye. I should have just left people hanging here.
Bye.